I love this man. We're not allowed to get married in this world. I don't know why, but I would like to declare in front of millions of people, I love you, and I'd like to live with you the rest of my life.
This is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins. Our guests rocked the theater world last season with a little show you may have heard about called Hairspray, and they were responsible for the big same-sex kiss on the Tony Awards, which has been imitated by so many other lesser entertainers since that time. Here to introduce them, Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
Frankly, there's no real reason to have these guys on the show tonight, but they're just such fun, and we always have a good time laughing with them over at Angus McIndoe's restaurant, so I figured we'd invite them on Theater Talk tonight. Marc Shaiman, the composer of Hairspray, and Scott Wittman, the lyricist of Hairspray.
Hey, no, would you stop that?
You're right.
We read the lyrics together. I'm more proud of the lyrics. The music is no one does that. Read your program, Michael.
Well, wait a minute. You have to
Do your homework.
Never.
I got to ask you, though, if you're so proud of those lyrics, I was reading in this book about John Cantor and Fred Ebb.
Hello.
I mean,
what's that to say? What is
I
this?
was rather, there's a new book about the lives and careers of John Cantor and Fred Ebb called Colored Lights, and I was just sort of perusing this book, and this passage jumped out at me. Ebb says, or John Cantor said, I went to see Hairspray the other night, and I had a good time. But again, it didn't make me want to write. And then Fred Ebb says, I did want to write. I wanted to write and to tell them to go home and listen to Frank Loesser, which would be good advice for anybody. Cantor says, but it's a huge hit, Freddie. We're in Hairspray, the Hairspray era right now. The critics adore it, the audiences do too. Fred says, there's no way for us to relate to it. It's the same sort of phenomenon as Mamma Mia. If you are a young writer today and you ask yourself what you have to do to succeed, those are your role models. It doesn't sound like Freddie or John really care much for Hairspray.
I say go home and listen to the act, and you'll really be happy.
What is it? Why is the old guard not like
Well,
Hairspray?
I'm shocked. First of all, that you can read.
Not true.
It's like, I mean, Cantor and Ebb, obviously, legendary, brilliant writers. Why they'd have to take pot shots, I can't even imagine. And by the way, cellophane does not rhyme with be my name. But we all have our moments. Much more shocking is, when I read that this morning, I printed this out from the internet. Not that I ever
Look at
troll on the
internet.
internet. After our Tony moment, Fred Ebb was interviewed. He said he thought we made a spectacle of ourselves.
Didn't we?
It was dumb. The bedroom is not the screen. He says he won't discuss his sexuality. He doesn't think it's anybody's business.
But Liza's, I guess.
Yes. And then he goes on to say that we showed our ass. It's just a different
Your
generation.
metaphorical ass, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Well,
What does that rhyme with?
Well, but that's interesting. Except I would say, do you really feel though that you're a different generation from the musical theater of John Cantor and Fred Ebb? I mean, you guys are steeped in that kind of theater. You're influenced
I
by
grew
that.
up on
And
that.
that is the disappointment is to have people, someone like Fred Ebb, who I so admire. I mean, as does everyone. So I do feel like I'm more old school, and that's what's also disappointing. That Hairspray is beneath all the John Waters style humor. It's just a good old-fashioned musical. It's disappointing to me that he can't recognize that.
It strikes me as being absolutely in the tradition of American musical comedy.
Of course it is. And the score is written in the vernacular of which those characters would speak.
So he must just not understand that vernacular of pop music, which I understand. I mean, I watch MTV 24 hours a day. I can attest. But I would not.
And all that chat. That's all that happens.
Well, that's we can talk about that. But if someone wanted me to write right now a hip hop musical, like they recently asked us to write something that we thought should take place nowadays, and I said I don't really want to do that because I'm not the most right person to write. Even though I understand it, I hear it, I know what makes it, but I'm just not the right guy to do it. So there's just a recognition of the fact that it's a different style of music. You don't have to.
Yeah, and I don't understand the comparison to Mamma Mia. I mean, that's
that's
the
strange,
shoוחorning the pop songs.
Right.
They're
Well,
wonderful
I think
songs.
in terms of mega hit, kind of, I think he's what he's maybe he's a little, I don't know, jealous.
It's for the popular lowbrow entertainment. I think that was the
Yes,
implication.
but you guys spent, I think anyone, aside from dear old Freddie, whom we love, looks at Hairspray and has to sort of step back and say how cannily crafted it is. I mean, you are working in the traditions of the musical theater, not only in terms of the score, but also in terms of the structure of the show.
Yeah, Frank Lesser would have written it if he were alive today.
That's right.
Now, speaking of popular lowbrow
And by the way,
entertainment,
Hairspray is the only show on Broadway that's selling out that does not need Matthew and Nathan to come back into it to raise it up.
And I'm patting our own back. We go to the tour now and then, and we just went last matinee in Boston. And I was really, you do have to kind of step outside of it for a second, and I was really proud of all of us who put it on, because there it is with an entirely different cast, and it works like gangbusters. The audience got the best performance of Hairspray I could ever hope they would see, and it's just nice to see how we wrote this thing. It works, not with whoever's in it, but you have to have great people, and we were lucky enough to have a great cast on the tour.
What do you do, by the way? Seems to me just a real casting challenge for you is to replace Harvey Fierstein when he leaves. You got Bruce Valanche on the road, but can you?
Harvey's not going anywhere.
You lock him
He's
into
like
the
Carol
theater.
Channing. He has not missed one performance.
yeah, no,
Not one. He's done over 500, I think. It's amazing. He's just amazing.
But it's gonna be tough to replace him in that.
I'm available.
He actually, he's serious. He wants to do it.
that would be
I've started saying it out loud to my collaborators. I mean, Noel Coward didn't have to ask.
Well,
to
you
be in
heard
the
it here
shows. Well, I could do it.
How about
let's
Nathan?
audition
How about your friend Nathan? Nathan finishes his run in the producers in April, and then he could slip if Harvey leaves in
only.
the spring.
Well, at one point we thought Harvey was going to take a vacation, and I just finally, built up my courage, and I said, Nathan, would you do it for like a week or two? Knowing that he would just have so much fun. I mean, he's a great fan of the show, and he sang on the demos. He did it great.
He played both parts on the demos.
he's been
he played
so busy.
Wilbur and Edna.
Yeah.
But he was about to do Trumbo, then Butley. He's having quite
And
a
then
year.
Dumbo and
So,
Now he's got to save the producers.
and then
Big
Harvey,
job.
maybe
Jumbo.
Harvey heard word that they actually might get someone in for a
Get me,
vacation.
right.
He's like, I'm not taking my vacation.
Well, that's probably the best way to keep Harvey in the show. Just sort of float a few names in my column of replacements for Harvey, and he'll never
Well, we
leave.
do
Harvey's
have.
very happy there, though.
Now, on another subject,
Oh, Peter Allen.
Yes.
Segueing from Harvey
Harvey to
Fierstein
Peter.
artful segue.
Well, they were good friends.
Yes. Well,
Collaborators.
Harvey wrote Lake Simon. I
Yeah.
did want to ask you guys, because you played in the orchestra for Up and One.
I was
Yes, he was
musical director.
How old? You were 18?
I was 19, and I realized that it said in my bio, at 19, Marc Shaiman is the youngest musical director on Broadway, and I realize now as an old fart, who gives a rat's ass how old I was? Why did I put that in my bio?
Now they can count, right?
Yeah, but I was 19 and working with Peter Allen. That was my first experience on Broadway.
And Lenore Nemitz.
Lenore Nemitz.
And
Well,
did you write material for Peter Allen, or did you
No,
sleep with him?
I
What was
knew
that?
Peter, though.
You knew-
I
you
knew
knew-
Peter, yeah.
Well, did you
The
like
question
him?
is, do you?
I did love him. I really see great
Has the
guy.
Boy from Oz with Hugh Jackman, have they captured who Peter Allen
I think
is?
Peter would have loved that show. He would have loved it. Because it's like Peter's act.
I mean, when Hugh Jackman is like on as Peter,
And you close your eyes.
I almost did get like kind of weepy, just for my own nostalgia of having been sort of part of Peter's career.
Necrophilia, it was like.
Do you think Peter Allen is underrated as a songwriter? Because all the critics made fun of Peter Allen's songs.
There's a lot of
yeah.
beautiful songs that Peter wrote that aren't in the show, which I was surprised. That really revealed a lot about Peter. and that-
6:30 Sunday
morning.
morning. A beautiful song about walking through Central Park at the end of a night of partying, and then another
Another one
song.
called "Taught by Experts," what I always thought would have been a great Judy Garland song.
Fabulous song. I've been taught by expert. Oh no, some of
Betty Davis.
You do the Judy. You do it.
That's all you had to do.
I mean, he did write some great songs that aren't in the show, and if our own little beef with the show, it really is that it might make people think Peter Allen is less of a songwriter than he was because he didn't write those songs to be in that theatrical
to
context.
move a plot. Yeah.
Right.
So when they are viewed as such by reviewers, they come up short for that, but they weren't meant to be that.
But I saw Up in One,
You did?
and it shares with this
How
show.
old were you?
12. And
62.
and the exuberance of Up in One is carried over into Hugh
Oh,
Jackman.
I think
and
so.
Peter
Yeah, very
Allen.
much so. Yeah.
And he'd love the idea that this gorgeous, sexy movie star is playing him.
That's true.
He would have loved that.
They'd be very happy.
Just to sort of make Fred Ebb a little bit more uncomfortable, you guys are writing a new show that he might have to suffer through. Catch Me If I Fall.
Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can, right. Based on the Steven Spielberg movie.
The Spielberg movie.
Where are you at that point? Are you doing it all?
It was a very long
We
negotiation.
we started negotiating.
3 months.
I realized the other day that we literally could have written the show in the time it's taken the 2 lawyers to. We could have made the movie.
So this is the Leonardo DiCaprio
Yes,
movie?
based on this man's
so
true
we did not want to start writing until everything was signed because we didn't
and
want to have our
died.
hearts broken.
Right.
And we also enjoyed taking the summer off and just smelling the roses.
Yeah, Catch Me If I Fall.
Catch Me
Would
If You
you
Can.
get it
That's
straight?
your autobiography.
No one's gonna catch me, baby, if I fall. Catch Me If You Can. I'm curious, what attracts you to that movie? What do you look at and you see, we can make this into a musical?
The characters seem to sing, and I think of all of Spielberg's movies, it's really kind of lyrical in a way, and it's I love the period that it took place in. It's kind of Beatles, Henry Mancini, Burt Bacharach kind of time, and it was sort of it's a wonderful story about it's like a Music Man. He was a con man, but he's 17 years old, and he had everyone fooled.
And a great fathers in this case and son story, where he has his real father who he adores, and then the Tom Hanks character becomes like a father to him. So all the emotion is there, a lot of emotion. As a matter of fact, some people I think here were writing it and they wonder why, and I think that's what appeals to us the most. That
Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be a musical comedy? Is it going to be funnier than the movie?
yes,
you think?
it
You're
definitely-
well, that's going to be the
Yeah.
challenge, is to keep it entertaining and yet get.
But you have, the whole con with he became a doctor in a hospital, and so there'll be lots of scantily clad nurses and airline stewardesses.
sounds like
Yeah.
Jackie Mason laughing
But it's also
remotely.
two wonderful parts, for a really young, up and comer, and like a Nathan or for the Tom Hanks.
And the musical style is going to be.
It'll run the gamut of, like Scott said, it's the other side of the '60s that Hairspray doesn't show that I got to
After
kinda
the Beatles came
dabble
in,
a little in the movie Down with Love. That Henry Mancini, that sophisticated
That wonderful,
60s,
yeah. Cocktail,
great.
martini,
Right.
cocktail lounge.
Rat
And
Pack
Bobby
was that
Darin, it's still Rat Pack was at its height in that time.
Yeah.
So.
We're getting the goodbye. What else have you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, the man of 1,000
We're
words
giving
here
the
suddenly draws a
opportunity.
blank.
Bobby Boland, get there immediately.
He was. I pulled a Michael Riedel. He went to the first preview.
Well, who
How
would miss a
could you?
Farrah
That is a
Fawcett show?
terrible. That is a terrible thing to do.
It's the audience is so fascinating. They scream at her every time she comes out in a new costume.
Oh, I'm there.
It's
I got
fun.
one for you
I can't
guys.
wait.
Jackie Mason's laughing room only.
Oh, here we go. All right.
I want it all to be good.
Bobby
Yes.
Boland reminded me every play I saw, goats on the runway or in the '60s, all those plays. It was fun. I had a
This
great
is how
time.
you want to use your last minute?
Pushing Bobby Boland.
Mark,
I'm never gonna dance
Can you
Love
play
It.
us out?
We have repaired to the piano where Mark has graciously agreed to give us a little Candor and Ebb medley.
Please play Arthur in the afternoon.
No, to even further freak out Fred Ebb, I'm going to even expose myself more. See, he comes from a generation where you hid. I like to just get on. Where's the red light? Who am I?
No, don't worry. They're following you.
Oh, all right.
There's your
But
camera.
I
There's
need
your
to know
camera.
what I'm playing to.
There's your camera, darling.
star.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is a song I co-wrote with Bette Midler, not to name drop, but to name drop, and the late great Jerry Blatt, which unfortunately, due to this year of becoming a fat cat on Broadway, I took it far too literally. Fat as I am, I can't believe I got as fat as I am. Now Scott ain't kidding when he says I'm a ham. How did I get as fat as I am? Fat as I am, just my left breast's the size of Lady Kazan. This is the way they say Godzilla began. How did I get as fat as I am? I ain't discreet. There ain't nothing you can name that I won't eat. And I'll have to just assume I still have feet. I haven't seen them in years. All of my sins are not as numerous as all of my chins. I could audition for the Doublemint Twins. Ah, no one in the biz is as fat as I is. Oh, but what's a career when you put it next to bagels, Mitch Schmear? They could park a DC-10 on my rear. God knows I've got the gas. Ooh, there goes the chair. But to tell the truth, I'm too fat to care. I ate a meatball off the floor right over there. Oh, you don't give a damn when you're fat as I am.
You've given
Very duplex. I feel like I'm at the duplex.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Marc Shaiman Scott Wittman, it's always a pleasure to have you